Hey everyone, and welcome back to another consignment update here at Gardner Holgate Auction Rooms in Corsham, Wiltshire, UK. We're now getting to the end of our consignment updates now. We will have a few more different videos taking place before the sale happens, which is of course on the 11th to the 14th of March. We are again Friday, end of the week, which usually means another catalogue upload as well. And most of the guitars in the sale, certainly on day one, apart from the artist associated guitars, should be on the website. There may be some of them, but if you go to the preview website, guitarauctions.com, there will be a big batch upload and you will be able to see most of the day one guitars there. So do have a look through there. In prep for the auction, of course, there are probably 200 more sort of day, 200 plus more day two guitars to go up. Artist associated guitars, memorabilia, amps, pedals, spares, studio equipment, all that kind of thing to come. And of course, antique and classical guitars as well. But do have a look at that website. But let's take a look at what we've got. As always, please subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, hit the bell icon so you can get notified of these future videos. But why don't you have a look at this video, see what we've got, see what we're all about, before you decide to do so. I'll let you know at the end. As always, we always love to see your comments. Tell us what you like, what you don't like, any corrections, as I'm sure there'll always be a few mistakes in there somewhere. But let's have a look. And this episode is probably going to be a bit Stratocaster heavy. There is some variation amongst, but if you don't like Strats, it might be best to, I don't know, look away now or skip to the bits you do want to see. But just be warned, it is very Strat heavy. So in here we have, judging by the 50s case, you can probably guess, a 50s Strat. I'm sure you're all wondering if we're going in this high now, what are we saving till the end? Keep on watching to find out. But this is a 1957 Fender Stratocaster. There we go. And it's in great original condition. Two-tone sunburst finish. Buckleware on the back. I'm still calling it great condition despite that. But yeah, genuine relicking. Not been dragged through the Fender Custom Shop relicking department. But he's got some nice checking there. Nice to see the original light checking. One feature around this year is the minus prefix on the serial number. I'll flip it over. There we go. So we've got a, you'll have to take my word for it, of course, but we've got a 57 pencil mark on the neck, which you will be able to see when this does land on the website. But some nice light wear to the fretboard. It's got quite a nice shallow V profile neck, which is a feature of this year. Probably can't quite make it out from the video, but again, you'll have to take my word for it. All the pots dating to 1957, and then comes with its original red-lined case. So Coilon, the manufacturer usually of these cases with this red lining, sometimes you get the patch, the Coilon patch as well. But this is correct for the year. Slightly later, towards the end of the 50s, they went to the sort of a tweed case with an orange lining. And then as you sort of transitioned into the 60s, you get the chocolate cases and the white cases. But in here, I mean, there's a photo there of the guitar. So this guitar was purchased by the owner in 1993, and it was imported into the country by a very well-known dealer called Gary Winterflood. And it came from California, and that was a picture of the guitar. It looks like it's sitting in a parking lot or a basketball court or something in the US, so in the California sunshine. So there's a picture of it there. And there's the original truss rod, trem arm. There we go. And the bag was made by the seller's mum, who used to make him little pouches to keep the trem arms in. This has been consigned by a very good collector that we've been selling guitars for the last 15 years, I would say. I think this is the second or the third maple board 50 Strat I've sold for him. I've sort of had many 60 Strats from him, some original, some refinished, but this was one of the jewels of his collection, and he does also have a 59 Strat that we're going to be selling in the following auction in June, so do look out for that in a future video. But fantastic guitar. So we have another interesting guitar in here, and probably actually rarer than the last guitar we saw. But this is one of the, I guess, most coveted Fender Custom Shop guitars. As you can probably tell by now, it is a Hank Marvin signature. Now, they did a standard custom shop run in the early 90s, so it was one of the first signature custom shop runs they did, 1993, Fender Custom Shop. And in 1998, as a 40th anniversary, there we go, 1958 to 1998, the custom shop made a very small run of 40, as you'll see from the back of the head, Hank Marvin Stratocasters. Now, these were commissioned by Fender UK, and they were sold through the Fender distributor Arbiter, and so it was approved by Fender UK, and this is the result. So we've got the typical Fiesta red finish, as you'd expect with all Hank Marvin guitars. And then with the special appointment on the top of the head, you can see with the facsimile signature, we've got that ruby that is accenting that I in Marvin. So that ruby stone on the head. We've got Spertzel locking tuners, this incredibly highly figured maple neck, and of course board. And then we've got Hank's favourite pickups, the Kinman HX. And this is the 63 spec pickups, and then we've got sort of push pulling on the pots. Now, one of these push pull pots, it actually functions some LED lights, position markers to the side. Now, this was an addition after the guitars were imported into the UK. So once they were imported, it was something that was retrofitted, not by the Fender factory, but that happened to all 40 of them, so I believe. So that function isn't actually working at the moment that we can tell. We've checked it out, we've tried a new battery, so there's something going on there. I'm sure it's not complicated, but yeah, there we go. Very rare guitar, only like I said, 40 made, and many collectors are always after these guitars because they rarely come up onto the market. I think I can only find one other for sale at the moment, but that's yeah, it's quite often you do go and look around and try and find them and you can't find any. So the one thing I will add is the scratch plate has been changed, so it's been changed to a 3-ply. The original guard would have been a single ply. Why, I don't know, but it has. And then we've got the Hank Marvin Custom Shop Fender Custom Shop leather strap, and then in the case we've got the little dinky trem arm. So the short trem arm was Hank's preferred thing, and then we've got a UB Hank Guitar Club strap as well, and some papers there included with its original white Tolex case. So another cool rare guitar. I think I'm starting to present a bit of a theme here. Again, another UB Hank strap. So this guitar and the previous one, unfortunately from a deceased estate, but obviously a huge Hank Marvin fan. And what you're looking at now is one of the 1993 Fender Custom Shop, so the early custom shop guitars from 1993. And there are some issues with this guitar, unfortunately. First thing is, doesn't have its original case or papers. Unfortunately, when the estate was cleared, a lot of cases went missing, and the guitars remained. Now, that can be annoying, because especially when collectors like things like certificate of authenticities and things like that, but the majority of the guitars from this collection have lost their cases, so we'll see a few more that also don't have their cases. Luckily, the previous Hank Marvin Strat does. But anyway, what have we got here? So again, you can see that the guard has been changed. It was originally a single ply guard. It's also had replaced pickups, so it's got Marvin's favoured Kinman HX pickups. but these were not on the original custom shop guitars. There is some tarnishing to the hardware. I think the worst of it though really is the lacquer, which is all deteriorating. It's lifting. It's quite untidy. It's I think every time you firmly touch it, it cracks a little bit more, and on the back of the neck you can see it bubbling. So that is a shame. As you can see, this is number 99 in the series, but made in 1993 by the custom shop. And I guess I mean the last one we actually got about £3,000 for the last one we sold, based on the condition. Might even be half that, unfortunately, without the case, without the pickups, with some lacquer marks and wear. But if you want a custom shop Strat and a signature custom shop Strat at a more affordable level, I mean, I know £1,500 is still a lot of money, but you know, there we go. So I'd estimate this to make probably £1,500 to £2,000 in the condition, but I am often proved wrong. So again, we have another Hank Marvin inspired guitar. This one by Per Dellen, made in Holland, and this is his custom shop Hank Marvin tribute guitar. So it's essentially this very similar spec to the Fender custom shops. You've got the Kinman pickups again. You can see you've got the UB Hank Guitar Club plate on the back. We've got this highly figured bird's eye maple neck, the locking Spurzl tuners. You can see his own logo on the head there, but Fiesta Red finish, got the small armed trem. Yeah, another. So if you can't quite stretch to the custom shop guitars, I'd imagine this would probably hammer at £1,000 at the most, being that it's a relatively unknown but well-regarded maker. And here we have another Fiesta Red guitar, and again the Shadows theme continues. So this is the Shadows Custom Edition by Burns. Fiesta Red finish, comes with the typical Marvin trem system, figured maple neck, and then a very low serial number, this being number 49, but in great condition. Another guitar that's unfortunately missing its case, but it seems to have survived quite well without it. So there we go, a Burns custom shop Shadows edition guitar. And again, another Shadows inspired guitar. This time it's the Burns Marvin. This is one of the 40th anniversary ones, and this one luckily does have the case, although we are missing the certificate of authenticity. So they all did come with one, but despite that, it is what it is, that old term. So yeah, good condition, comes with its original case, Burns 40th anniversary Marvin guitar. And while we're looking at Burns guitars, we have a very early Burns guitar from around 1960. This is the Sonic model. It's got the two trisonic pickups. There we go, have a look at the logo on the head there. Two trisonic pickups. We've got the Burns trem system, but this guitar is all up together, working in reasonable condition for the age. They always are worn like this, so always very acceptable. But nice little quirky British-made guitar from around 1960. And another signature model guitar, this time not Hank Marvin, although it is still red. This is a Mark Knopfler signature, of course the Dire Straits guitarist. I'm sure you all know that. But this is another guitar that unfortunately is missing its original case. But this guitar comes from 2003, so it's got a low serial number for the series, and yeah, it's got the hot rod red finish. There are some marks and dings and things, but yeah, like I said, does not come with its original case, which is a shame. It's come from the same estate where the cases went missing, but there it is, a 2003 Fender Mark Knopfler Strat guitar. If you like your heavy relics, you're in for a treat. 2018 1958 Fender Stratocaster heavy relic. So based on a 1958 guitar, you can see the heavy relic black nitro finish, and I quite like them. There's always the big debate about relic guitars versus non-relic. I do not mind either way. I sometimes think the fretboards can be a bit over the top when they are not naturally worn. But you can see this highly figured maple neck with the Fender Custom Shop logo on the head. This has had changed pickups. It's got cream tea bolero pickups, so some would consider that an upgrade. It's also got a wood tone bridge installed as well. It does have the original Fender saddles there. So that has been replaced or upgraded by the seller, but the guitar comes with its original case, its strap, all its papers. We don't have those original parts, unfortunately, but a fantastic instrument from the custom shop. Just in fear of those getting a bit bored of electric guitars, particularly Strats, this is a Martin, a very nice Martin as well. So this is from 1986, birth year for me, and this is a treble 045, but custom made guitar. So custom made with the authentic old appointments, and many of you will recognise this as it was featured in our last auction. It sold, it went to the buyer, and he decided that he didn't need another very nice Martin acoustic guitar, so he decided to send it back to us. I think it was very similar to another that he already had. But so here's another opportunity. I think it sold for 3,800 hammer last time. Very high-end guitar, but we've got an estimate of 3,500 to 4,500 on it to see if we can find it a new home, which I'm sure it will find one, because it's a lovely instrument indeed. But it comes with its case. There is some history as well with the guitar. Essentially, it was commissioned by the UK Martin distributor, or the head. You'll see the information in the catalogue footnote if you look this one up online. A bass guitar for those bassists out there who are sat hopefully waiting that we'll feature one. Possibly a little bit niche, but this is a Barcus bass. There we go, handmade in the US. So it's what have we got? We've got 6-string, we've got fretless, decent electronics. We've got these Bartolini pickups with lots of switching variety going on, but a very, very high-end guitar indeed. Very unusual shape. You've got this this obviously contouring here to reach the higher notes, but you need very large hands to do so. I certainly wouldn't be able to grapple this instrument, unfortunately. But there we go, high-end bass guitar. I believe it is myrtle wood that's involved with this guitar, but it really is a stunning made instrument. It's as heavy as it looks, but yeah, if you're after a 6-string fretless bass, and you know, one of the highest end examples you can find, then you're not going to go far wrong with this. This is a very nice guitar, I think. So this is a 2010 Collings 290 electric guitar, and as you can see, very much based on the Gibson Les Paul special model. And I think hammer price, these tend to come in at around 1,500 to 2,000 at auction. And I guess some will be questioning, why would I buy a Collings when I can get a Gibson Les Paul special cheaper? Well, my take on that is this is a far superior guitar, and essentially what you are getting is, well, it's handmade, very, very carefully handmade for one, but you're essentially getting a custom shop spec instrument for only a fraction over what a production Gibson would cost you. So I'd sort of always encourage someone to go for something like this. I guess the only unfortunate thing is Gibson seems to have a bit more cachet with money changing hands and being a safer investment some of the time. But this one does have quite a bit of wear, so you can see it has been loved. When I say loved, it's not been it's been well used. They haven't been precious about it, but yeah, it's obviously been played quite a bit. But it's a fantastic instrument. I've got a lot of time for Collings guitars. Make both great electrics and acoustics. I guess they're better known for their acoustics, but they do have a lot of good electric models as well. Here's an interesting Strat. We've got a 2005 Fender Standard Series Mexico Stratocaster, as you can see from the head. but as you'll see, it has been customized. Now, if we flip it over, we can see Sims custom paint. So this guitar was commissioned, or the paint work was commissioned by Diane von Furstenberg, who is a fashion designer, and it was commissioned to go into the Harrods Rock Couture exhibition, where they had a lot of guitars on display. I do remember it well. So it has been customized. It was customized for that event, and a lot of the guitars eventually were sold off for auction, hence why it's now in the public domain. So other customizations we got some the Temple Sweet Spot pickups in there, with some 2010 CTS pots as well. So all the electrics modified in 2010. So essentially an upgraded guitar. If you like the zebra finish as well, then what a cool looking Strat you could own. So that is a guitar commissioned by a well-known fashion designer, went through the Harrods Rock Couture exhibition, and now it's here up for auction at Gardner Holgate. Here we have another Strat. I'm sorry to report, hopefully you like them. So this is another Stratocaster with a difference. We'll turn it over, and as you can see, this is the Fishman triple play. So it's the Fender Fishman triple play HSS Stratocaster electric guitar. Now, one thing some of you may have noticed, if you know anything about these guitars, they were only made for a year, 2014 I believe it was, but you will see there is a Fender USA neck. Now, these were made in Mexico, and you'll see the neck is also from 95. No, it's not, it's from 99. So 1999 Fender USA neck. So what that tells us essentially is it's got a replacement neck, and I think it's a bit of a shame in some ways, because I prefer the original necks on these, because they had the big headstock with the big sort of black block capital logo, which is my preferred head, which I'm probably in the minority on that one. But yeah, you've got this the MIDI function. You've got a Seymour Duncan. This is a Pearly Gates humbucker, this is all original and stock to the guitar, and you've got the noiseless middle and neck pickups. But something a bit different, it has been slightly modified. Essentially, this half down's all original, that up that way is not. But yeah, good guitar, good bit of fun. For those who follow us on social media, essentially Instagram and Facebook, check us out at Guitar Auctions on Instagram and /Guitar Auctions on Facebook. You may have seen this guitar already. So this is a 1966 Fender Stratocaster electric guitar. So this will have some transitional features, which we will look at in a sec. So if we start with the body, got this Olympic white finish that has started to yellow quite a lot. Now, unfortunately, even though it could fool some, it is a refinish, but it's a very early refinish. Now, this is from a deceased estate. It's from the same estate that the Hank Marvin guitars are from. This was purchased in around 1970, and the family seems to remember that back then this guitar had this finish. But that's not to say that it wasn't refinished in its very early years. So it must have been refinished before 1970, which it does look like it has been. It's got it's a nitro finish, some lovely checking going on. But when you do take the guard off, you can see the S marking, which is sort of bled through the finish, which would have designated it a sunburst finish in the factory. There is a possibility that they may not have been happy with it, and they may have ended up giving it another finish in the factory. But I think we've also always got to err on the side of caution, and regardless, it would have started out as a sunburst finish guitar, so it has been refinished. It does look the part though, very, very Hendrix, especially because we've got the big headstock as well. Now, I was saying about the previous Strat, I do love the big headstock Strats. This is not my preferred logo though. I prefer the big block capital one, like I said, that goes across. But this is a transitional logo, transitional feature with the larger headstock. Other transitional features, I guess we've got an Indian rosewood board rather than Brazilian rosewood. That was something that changed from 1965 going into 66. This is Indian rosewood, judging by the look of it. Obviously you get other features that are slightly earlier than 66, but we transition from clay to pearl dots. And underneath the guard, well, we have a 66 stamped neck. On the end of the neck, we've got all the original pots, so 66 pots, 66 pickups. The pick guard, which some of you may have already noticed, is a replacement. So the pick guard and the switch have been replaced. So we've got replaced switch, replaced scratch plate, and the body has been refinished. But I think, aside from that, it's a really, really cool up-together guitar. It's one of those where, yes, you'd kind of put it into the player's grade category, but it's not severely butchered like a lot of the player's grade guitars can be. So really nice example. What do I expect this to bring? Possibly 7,000 to 9,000 at auction, which obviously is going to be well out of some people's price range. It's certainly well out of mine. But for those of you who can't quite reach the dizzying heights of having to pay sort of 15k plus for an original example, that's not a bad option at all. This guitar will be familiar to some who have been following us for a while now. So around 3 months ago, this turned up in a consignment update. So it was due to go into the last auction, but we did have some problems getting the CITES paperwork, which has now all been resolved. So this is a 1967 Martin D1235, so the 12-string version of the D35, and you can see the autograph on the front there, Gordon Giltrap. This was previously his guitar. So this was purchased by the vendor directly from Gordon Giltrap. There we go. And it is a very nice guitar indeed. You can see it's got the Brazilian rosewood back and sides, hence needing the CITES paperwork to legally sell it in the UK. So that we do have that all in place now. And of course, if someone from outside the UK buys it, then we can get the export paperwork to send it abroad. But there we go. It's got all sorts of wear on it, which has been created by Gordon Giltrap, I'd imagine, as it was a guitar that he did have for a while. Comes with this period case, and then here we have a photograph of Gordon Giltrap and Brian May, signed by both of them, with a tribute to the seller. So there we go. Cool guitar, cool bit of provenance, being that it was owned by Gordon Giltrap, one of our UK folk music greats. And then we do have a letter of authenticity from Gordon Giltrap explaining the provenance of the guitar. There we go. So we've shown you some old Fender guitars. We'll show you an old Fender bass. Looks like it's lost a string. There we go. We'll get that rectified at some point, I'm sure. But this is from 1960. So it's got all sorts going on. This was previously owned by the bass player of Fortus Mentum, who were a band on the London circuit in the 1960s. The bassist was a Mr. Ronald Reagan, not the president, but that is the same chap who was selling the guitar. So here it is. So you can see the finish has been stripped back. There is some white paint in the pockets. Whether it was originally white or not, we do not know, but most likely sunburst, I'd imagine. Most of the ones that came into the UK were. You can see all this wear on the neck does help to give it a nice playing feel. Has lost its head logo. There was a debate where he was potentially going to get it a new logo on there, but I just said no, leave it as it is. Always best to see them left that way. So we're missing the pickup cover. We do have the bridge cover. It's got the original guard. It's got some replacement potentiometers. They are RS components potentiometers, but we do have the original pickups. Original Brazilian rosewood board with the clay dots that we mentioned with that transitional Strat. Lots of wear to the frets. You can see they are, I mean, the grooves in the frets where they're worn down are pretty much level with the board, so it's on the verge of needing a refret, I think. But a lot of history, this one, and an owner right back from the 60s. Cool guitar. And here, another Fender for you, and another Strat. Please do excuse the photography backdrop behind me. It might, hopefully it doesn't flare the flare what you can see on the screen too much. But here we have a Eric Clapton signature Blackie Stratocaster electric guitar. So there we go. Bit of damage to the pick guard. Everything is original on this guitar. Unfortunately, it's another guitar where we do have some lacquer deterioration. So we've got some cracking to the lacquer, and there is some lifting as well to the board. So some may feel that that needs to be addressed. Some of these guitars, it's obviously been in conditions that aren't perfect for it at some point, but it is original, comes with its case, just got a few cosmetic issues going on. If you don't want a vintage bass, you can have a modern bass. And this one is from, have a quick look, remind myself, 2008, American Standard Precision bass guitar in the black finish. So in here we have yet another Stratocaster, and this one is a limited edition 40th anniversary Fender Strat. As you can see, it's in incredibly good condition. Still got its Perspex film, still got its clear film on the guard, still got its trem sticker in place. But there you can see 1994 40th anniversary, and to celebrate that anniversary they only made 1,954 of them. So that comes with its case and all its papers and tags. We had a late 70s Music Master guitar in the last sale, and if you'd rather have the bass, there it is. It's a 1978 Music Master bass in the black finish. Most of the ones you see tend to be in the black finish. It's got typical marks and wear for the age, for used bass of this age, but good little bass guitars, smaller bodied, smaller necks, and a nice and simple with the single pickup. Just to prove that we do have something other than a Strat in the Fender category for guitars in this cell. It is a bit Strat heavy, so I do apologise. We have a 1966 Fender Coronado I, and of course the one referring to the one pickup rather than the Coronado II that has two pickups. Comes in this sunburst finish, and a few dings and marks, some lacquer checking, but otherwise I think it's reasonable. Some nice wear on the neck, which does give a nice smooth playing feel. Always prefer it when these necks are worn in, but there we go. If you don't want a Strat, then and you want an old Fender, then there is something a bit different. In case you were getting concerned that we were leaving the Strats behind again, we have found another one for you. So this is an interesting guitar. A good friend of ours and a fairly well-known guitarist, Mr. Innes Seiben, the Innes Seiben band, and the guitarist who also played for Page and Plant, I believe, at one stage. But this is a guitar that he put together and he has used. So essentially it is lots of Fender Custom Shop parts and pieces put together to make one guitar. So we've got a Fender Custom Shop Relic body on a limited edition Custom Shop neck. We've got Custom Shop pickups, Custom Shop guard. Essentially it is all Custom Shop, just from different guitars. So I think it's 3 or 4 different guitars that the parts have been put together. So he had his, I guess he had his 3 or 4 favourite guitars and just picked the bits he liked from each one. But is interesting. We will get it set up properly with that string not just hanging off the saddle there. Yeah, interesting guitar from been consigned by a great local player. If you want to lift weights as well as learn how to play guitar or collect a vintage guitar, if I can actually get into the case, we have a Peavey T-25. Always incredibly heavy, these guitars. US made Peavey, but they are very interesting. Got these rail pickups, which are good, nice big output pickups, sort of bolt-on neck design, but I do like them. I think they do sound good. There's something a bit different. Peavey USA comes with its original case. There we go. Here we have a late 1970s Gretsch solid body. This is the TK-300 model. Oh, looks a bit different, doesn't it? I'm sure there'll be a lot of you that are not going to be a big fan of this guitar. A very unusual looking guitar. I personally like them a lot. I think nice and quirky. So in here we have a cool Japanese made guitar. This is the Aria Pro 2 PE 1000, and this is the Jerry Cott signature electric guitar. Jerry Cott is the Boomtown Rats guitarist, but this is his signature model. There we go, Aria Pro 2 PE 1000 Jerry Cott model. So a couple of videos ago we saw a Yamaha MSG that was is reputedly Scott Gorham's. Well, here's another one we've got in the sale. This one without any artist provenance, so it should come in at the region of £500 to £600 at auction. This is the Yamaha MSG Deluxe, obviously designed by Martin Booth, a very well regarded luthier based in the UK, but designed by him and made out in Taiwan. These were in around 1989 this guitar's from. So considering the age, very good condition. By highly regarded Devon-based maker David Oddy, we have a custom resonator guitar. So the body all in rosewood, as you can see. But if you want a resonator guitar of a difference, very high end, this will come in at 1,000 to 1,500 hammer. But it is a nice guitar and you won't find another one like it. Interesting Gordon Smith guitar here. This is a Steve Diggle signature, and the interesting thing about this is we've got the prototype on the back. Now this is allegedly the guitar that was made for the man himself. So the prototype guitar, Steve Diggle, in the yellow finish. So an early one, and it does have more of a production number rather than a limited edition number, so it is very plausible. Still trying to find out from Gordon Smith. They haven't got back to me yet, but there we go. Steve Diggle, prototype electric guitar by Gordon Smith. Another guitar by a well-regarded English luthier. This is a Fylde Egyptian model from 1997. There we go. So we've got the spruce top there. There is a bit of a repair there. You see the repaired crack on the top. Turn it over and we do have this three-piece back of rosewood. There we go. But apart from the crack on the top, good condition, well-made guitar by Fylde from 97. So in here, an Epiphone, but not a, what some might say, just another boring Les Paul. Well, I don't find them boring, and I'm sure a lot of you don't as well. But here we have something different, 2020 Epiphone ES collection. This is the Uptown Kat. There we go. So it's got the old Epiphone bikini type logo there. Got the gold finish back, the candy apple red type top. There we go. Decent guitar with its case. And another Fender guitar, but there we go. This time it's a Telly rather than a Strat again. This is a made in Japan, candy apple red finish. Leo Fender's favourite finish, of course. Big block made in Japan. Writing there, or stamp, so it is an earlier one. Of course, we've got the serial number stamped on the bridge plate there with the A prefix. So this will be a 1980s version. But there we go, 1980s Fender Telecaster with the candy apple red finish. Fans of Kurt Cobain, this is a Fender Jag-Stang. It's one of the Mexican-made ones in 2021. There was an earlier run that was made in the Japanese factory. But they did reissue them again in Mexico a few years ago. So Fiesta Red finish, comes with its gig bag and in good condition. Apologies in advance, we have another Strat, but this one's a little bit different. This is the H.E.R signature Stratocaster. So we've got this sort of silver, it's almost like a flip paint finish. We've got this aluminium single ply guard. And there we go, got the H.E.R logo on the neck plate. This one's from 2020, but in fantastic condition. Original gig bag, original box. The seller did say that he basically never used it, so it's almost as new condition. And in here we have an old friend. This is a bass guitar that we have sold once before. So this is a 1961 Fender Precision bass. As you can see from the finish, it has been refinished. But there we go. Sort of dings and wear to the back of the neck, as you'd expect. Now this was refinished a very long time ago. You can see various different colours under there. There's some red, there's some grey, but it's now got this sort of two-tone, almost three-tone sunburst finish coming through. All the lacquer checking, so it has got a nitro finish. Yeah, hardware and everything all appears to be present and correct, including the electrics. And then here we have a picture. So this is, I say, old friend. We did sell it for this gentleman previously, and you can see it there in the finish that it currently sits in. He bought this guitar in the late 1960s from Macari's in London, and then he sold it with us, I'd probably say 5 or 6 years ago now. The buyer who got it off of us, he's had his fun with it, and now he's putting it back through. So there we go, a 1961 Fender Precision bass. So believe it or not, this is, or was, I guess it still is, to an extent, a 1976 Fender Stratocaster. So it's been heavily modified. It's got this black and gold flake metallic finish. But yeah, the neck dates to 76. The body is a 70s body. And you will see from the board, it does have a maple board, but someone's put these rosewood stickers on there with this trailing vine inlay. So you can see from the end that they are stickers on there. Pickups have been replaced. It's had a MIDI pickup on here at some point with the back plate still in place. But you can see the majority of the hardware's been changed as well. We've got a Wilkinson trem there. There is the 3-bolt neck plate, which has been gold plated there. We got some locking tuners. So yeah, it is a vintage Strat that has been heavily modified, but I think the finish of the matching headstock is the coolest feature about it. So a project for someone possibly. So on to our last run of guitars now, and it might give a little clue as into what we are going to finish with, if the thumbnail didn't give it away, of course. If you are coming into this video blind, then you might not have seen the thumbnail. But this is a 1981 Ibanez Musician MC550. So all the switching you have with this model, like a lot of the Musician guitars, but this is a Koa topped and backed guitar with the maple, or should I say the ash core, and you've got the maple centre stripe with the through neck. Very high quality guitars indeed. I don't really need to give much introduction to these high quality Ibanez guitars. But there we go, that is the 1981 Ibanez MC550 Musician. So probably one of the most common artist models you see is the 2619 model, and this is one of them. So this is from 1977, so it is an earlier one. I believe the model was released in 1976. But there we go, the Artist. So you've got the pearl block inlays of the abalone centre. Got the original pickups here, as you can see. Got all the original hardware, typical tarnishing and gold plating loss, and then so double cut with the pickup selector, the coil switch, and the 2-volume and 2-tone controls. And one of my favourite models of this era is the Bob Weir signature model 2680, and this is the professional series, as you can see from the head. And there we go, from 1976 in the natural finish. These are always fairly heavy guitars. You've got this sort of very German carved style top, as you can see. Again, original pickups, all the original hardware, some pitting and gold plating loss once again, and we do have a bit of a binding issue going on here, as you can see, in some lacquer lifting, but it's not in bad condition. estimate wise we'll be putting 600 to 800 on it just to reflect the condition, but we tend to get around 800 hammer on the day for them when they are in good condition. So there we go, that is the Bob Weir model Ibanez. So here we have another 2619 model, as I said, one of the I guess regularly seen of the Ibanez Artist series, but this is a first year example, as you can see, from 1976, so very early, missing a gear cover there, a few blemishes on the neck, and you will see that there is a replacement pickup in the bridge position, some tarnishing and gold plating loss, but otherwise it's not a bad example at all and comes in its original case. In here we have a limited edition Ibanez. Just before we get onto a rather special limited edition Ibanez. So this is the MC924 model, but the limited edition aspect, I think, is the zebra wood body, which I haven't managed to find another one, but this is from 1980. So Ibanez Musician MC924 with zebra wood body. Like with most of the Musician series guitars, we've got the topped and backed accents with the Sen Ash core that you can see running through the middle, and then obviously the maple centre neck, through neck, with the contoured heel there. But yeah, good guitar, rare guitar, and I guess the 924 model tends to hammer around £600, so maybe we'll get a fraction more just because it's a lesser spotted limited edition example. So to finish off the video and finish off this run of Ibanez guitars, we have something a little bit special. So this guitar was previously owned by Jeff Beck, and it's got fantastic provenance in the fact it was actually sold at the Christie's Jeff Beck auction only last month, so the 22nd of January 2025. Now, why is this guitar in the sale? Well, the buyer from the sale, who was a big fan of Ibanez guitars, bought it, got it, and then he suddenly decided that he probably didn't need another guitar. He's got a very big collection of guitars, so he has by no means bought it to flip it and make more money. That's not his reason at all. Essentially, it's going to be estimated at slightly less than what he paid for it, but he's just really wanting it to move on to another home for someone who is actually going to play it and enjoy it, and give another opportunity for someone who missed out in the Christie's sale to own this instrument. So it is a fantastic instrument, and there is sort of more of a, I guess, academic story behind it. There's certainly some information that Christie's didn't state in their catalogue, for one reason or another, I don't know. But essentially, this is a limited edition guitar. It was made around 1978, and Ibanez went through a phase of basically wanting to get Jeff Beck on board as an artist, as a brand artist, and so they made him many guitars. But this is probably one of the highest end guitars that they made him. They put everything into it to try and get him on board. So as you can see, limited edition. So at the time this was made, this would not have had a model designation, but this guitar did eventually become the MC3000 model. So this guitar does differ slightly from the MC3000 model. So we can say this guitar is unique. It's a unique guitar made for Jeff Beck, as a real big push and attempt to get him on board as a brand artist. So the MC3000 model is actually a very, very rare guitar itself. So that model particularly, there was no more than 30 made, or so we're led to believe. So 30 of the MC3000 made, but this essentially, I guess, is the very first. I mean, it's certainly a prototype guitar. So a one-off, unique prototype guitar made for Jeff Beck, and everything put into it to try and get him to sign up. So anyway, went to Jeff Beck, and it was kept in his collection ever since. It's in its original flight case, as you can see, original fitted flight case with this typical green lining, typical Ibanez green lining. And as you can see, the flight case is, well, it's quite obviously used flight case. So what Jeff used this guitar for, we don't know. He had quite a lot of guitars. He had quite a lot of Ibanez guitars that were made for him. But there it is, a fantastic lot nonetheless, and another chance for someone to acquire one of Jeff Beck's guitars now that everything in that Christie's auction was sold on. So privileged to offer it. As you all know by now, the auction's on the 11th of March, and it will be interesting to see what happens and where it might end up. So there we go, ladies and gents. I hope you enjoyed this consignment update. It will be one of the last consignment updates, like I said earlier, for the March auction, taking place from the 11th to the 14th of March 2025. So another huge bumper sale, as I always seem to say, every sale now. But do have a look at the catalogue. Remember to subscribe to our channel, hit the like button and hit the bell icon. We do have video demos coming, some other content as we approach the sale. But like I said, the full catalogue is fast approaching, and that will be on the main Gardner Holgate website, but you can go and register ready to bid. But at least you can see some previews at guitarauctions.com. Thanks for joining us again this week, and we'll see you next time.